couple of ground rules so you guys will know how the format works tonight. We try to keep this very civil, and we hope you guys will all participate with us in that regard. Our candidates will begin with a 2-minute introduction, and we'll have a 1-minute wrap-up at the end. Our team with the Zeta Phi Beta help us out with some of our staffing here, and they will be timing them, and when they go over, ring the little bell. They get a little bell. So we want to keep them on track so everyone has a fair amount of time to answer questions. After the 2-minute introductions, we will have a Q&A session, and the questions they get 45-second answers, and the questions are by seat. So you'll have 2 people answering the same question as it goes around. And the candidates have been instructed if they have a question that was asked to someone else in another seat that they'd like to answer, that maybe if they will hold off till the end, because we want to make sure all the questions get the attention they deserve. The candidates do wrap up with a 1-minute session at the end. And I think that if you want to see, we did submit, our panel had a set of questions that we did provide to both the state seats and the county commission seats. And if you haven't taken a look at those, they do cover a number of different issues. They are online at the Morrisville Chamber website, and we put a link right on the front page to the pages where those are. So please, if you're interested in those questions, take a look at them and see how they answered them. We will continue to collect questions during the forum. The Zeta Phi Beta team right here in blue have cards and pencils, so if you want to ask a question during the forum, just raise your hand. They'll bring you a card and a pencil, and they will also collect it and bring it up to our team here to review. Everyone will review the question, and then we'll put it in this beautiful little fishbowl here for Mark to draw questions out. So that's how we operate on this forum. So do you guys have any questions back here? Y'all ready to rock and roll? I do have one caveat. Mayor Stolman does get to pick the questions, and he's already told me he's got a couple of interesting ones of his own, so we'll take it from here.
Absolutely.
Great. And I'm going to hand this to Marilyn because she starts first.
Timekeeper's ready? Great. All right, Marilyn. Representative.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Marilyn Avalon, and I represent House District 40. I've just completed my 4th term in the House, and I spent 2 years in the minority and 2 years in the majority. But who I am actually goes back a number of years to where I came from, and that was a farm in southeast Georgia. I grew up as the oldest of 4 kids and learned to share and do without at an early age, as any farmer's kid can tell you. You learn that. Went to college locally, commuted, and graduated with a degree in chemistry and went into the textile industry. And moved to North Carolina in the early 70s in Winston-Salem and worked with Haynes Hosiery. It was the last company that I worked with in my profession. Became a mother. We are the parents of 2 children. Our son David is an attorney in New York. Our daughter is an English teacher at Southeast Raleigh and the mother of my first grandbaby. I am a part-time legislator and a full-time grandma and loving every minute of it. But between being raised on a farm and learning to pay as you go, which was Dad's rule, and training as a chemist to examine facts and use those in making decisions and trying to remove personal bias and emotion from your decision making, I think has helped me more in terms of being able to address issues that come before the General Assembly, because so many of them are emotionally driven. And I take that into consideration of who's for it, who's against it, and who can give me some unbiased information in making my decisions. And when I vote, it's always up for your questioning, and please call me if it looks like it doesn't make any sense, because I have researched it, and there is a reason why I vote the way I do. Thank you.
Next up is Margaret Rodwell for House 40.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. And for each of you for coming, I'm thrilled to be here. It's an exciting evening. About me, well, that started 65 years ago, so I'll condense it down. But I grew up most of my life in Cary and moved to Morrisville after I married my husband in '82. We lived in Cary and then moved to Morrisville in 1984. So essentially for the last 30 years, I've been here active in my own community of Morrisville. Have served 14 years of that time as your local elected official, those of you who live in Morrisville, and was Morrisville's first lady mayor ever in 95 and 96, a distinction that I'm very proud of. Thank you. There is a lot of work left to do for this community as well as for our state. And the call to me back in February of this year by members of my party, I'm the Democrat challenger, was essentially, we need you. And would I consider the challenge? And I've always answered a challenge when somebody needed me, whether it's on an individual basis or whether it's a community-wide basis, or now this calling to the state level of serving, of public service. I believe that all elected officials at whatever level of government they are truly public servants, and they should be solving problems, not creating problems. And unfortunately, what brought me to this point in the challenging for this seat is that I think there's many problems that are being created by our current leadership. So I hope to have your support. I'd love to get to know each of you. Thank you.
Next we heard from Gail Hancock.
Hi, I'm Gail Adcock, and there are 3 things I'd like you to leave today knowing about me. First, I know who I am. I'm a registered nurse for 40 years. In the last 27 years of that, I've been a nurse practitioner. I have spent my entire adult life helping people lead better lives. As the Chief Health Officer at SAS, I'm a leader in ideas, innovation, and people. As an elected leader on the Carytown Council for 7 years, I have dropped the property tax rate to the lowest in Wake County, incentivized new and current businesses, improved the quality of life, and worked in a nonpartisan manner with everyone that I have worked with. Second, I believe I understand what you want. I believe you want your families to be safe, that you want your children to have excellent schools where their teachers are paid as the professionals that they are, that you want clean drinking water, and you want your communities to not look like cookie-cutter communities and bland communities like someone who doesn't live in this region may want. And lastly, I believe that I can represent you well. I have earned a reputation as being open-minded, a good listener, balanced, and nonpartisan. And I believe I can bring all these skills to the North Carolina General Assembly and be my true self to represent you. Thank you.
This is Tom Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Tom Murray. I'm a pharmacist and an attorney, which means I can fill your prescription or write your will. I just hope I don't have to do that on the same day. That would be a bad day. So, but I'm going to pharmacy school and then going back to law school. You know, you get an understanding on how to relate to people on a one-on-one basis, and that's why I go door to door and knock on doors and talk to voters, talk to constituents to see what's going on in their life, so I can take those experiences and translate those to good policy making at the North Carolina General Assembly. But the 3 main reasons why I'm running for the North Carolina General Assembly: Ella, Gretchen, and Henry. 10, 8, and 8 months. And I want to make sure that North Carolina has full opportunities for all my children and all your children, so they can succeed, have a job in the private sector waiting on them when they work hard and cross that stage on graduation day. My mom was a teacher for 30 years. Public school teacher, had a master's degree, never made $50,000 a year. We're going to have a lot of conversations about education in this forum. I hope so. I hope we do. So it is a top priority for our state. But the way you invest in education is to make sure that the private sector is growing, and we are having economic development and job creation. Over the past 4 years, North Carolina's unemployment rate has dropped 5 points, and the private sector has created 200,000 jobs. When I decided to run for the North Carolina General Assembly, the North Carolina unemployment rate was over 11%. Teachers were getting furloughed, class sizes were increased, and teacher pay was frozen. That's not the North Carolina I envisioned for my children. That's why I ran, and that's why I'm asking for your support.
Next up is Top Mitchell. We're on the Senate side now, House and Senate. Here we go.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I'm really happy to be back in Morrisville. This is actually where I got my start with my wife. This is where we started our business, where we started our family. I live in Raleigh now, but it's always nice to be back here. My name is Molotov Mitchell. I'm running for North Carolina Senate in District 16, and the liberation of District 16 is underway. So I am running on three specific things: privacy, prosperity, and protection. Privacy means I'm going to make sure that we get transparency out of the NSA spy facilities that were set up on NC State's campus last year. Most people don't even know that they were set up. I'm going to demand transparency on day one, and if they don't give it, then they got to go. Number two is prosperity. As a small business owner, I own several businesses around the Triangle. I know how important it is to continue lowering taxes and reducing burdensome overregulation, taxes. I want to make sure that the Carolina comeback continues unabated. And number three is protection. The line of business that I'm in, I'm a combat instructor. So I empower women how to defend themselves, both in North Carolina and in other countries. I teach rape prevention, counter-abduction. I also teach firearms courses. I'm a strong proponent for the Second Amendment. If you want to go buy a gun, get trained, and learn how to be a productive member of society, I encourage it. I think it's great. My name is Molotov Mitchell. I'm running for North Carolina Senate, and the liberation of District 16 is underway.
Next up is Senator Berger. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you so much for coming out this evening. I have 2 minutes to tell you a little bit about my 50-plus years. And I want you to know that I have been honored for the last 2.5 years to serve you as the senator for District 17, which is basically most of Southern Lake County. I'm a mother of 3 children who are in the public school system. I'm a former PTA president. I've actually volunteered many hours in these classrooms. I know how critical that is. I'm an educator myself. Teaching is the air I breathe, and my students are absolutely incomparable. But you know what? What really matters to me, and what matters, is that very, very beginning, the first 2,000 days of a person's life. My husband and I were foster parents with the Methodist Home for Children for 10 years. And we saw then what damage the foster care system can do to children in a very quick period of time. If we do not have the raw materials when they get to kindergarten and first grade, then we can't have any hope for high school or college. Those first 2,000 days are critical, and while I've been in the Senate, I've worked tirelessly for early childhood education and so many other education issues. So I ask for your support. I humbly ask for your support. I work across the aisles. It's about good public policy. It's not about politics. I'm not a politician. I'm a mother that's out there trying to do better for our state. Thank you very much.
Next, we're going to hear back from the chamber president. She's going to read a statement from Senator Stein.
Senator Stein could not be here tonight, and he did ask that we provide this statement on his behalf. I apologize for not being able to join you this evening. I had a prior commitment out of town. Thank you all for your involvement in the community and with the chamber. We are blessed to live in the heart of the Triangle, but we cannot rest on our laurels. We must work to ensure our community remains one of the best places to live in the country, even as we experience remarkable population growth. That includes having good public schools, a comprehensive transportation system that fosters transit-oriented development, clean water, and a vibrant business community. It's been my honor to represent Morrisville for the past 3 terms. If reelected, I will prioritize the following: improving public education by making sure that we recruit and retain the best possible teachers, by paying them appropriately and treating them as the professionals that they are; strengthening our economy by adequately and innovatively investing in infrastructure, including roads, railroads, ports, airports, research, and broadband; and helping our hospitals and medical professionals work through the dramatic changes in the financing and delivery of health care. Thank you for attention. I wish you a successful forum, and I, meaning Josh, ask for your support on November 4th. Sincerely, Josh Stein.
Okay, thank you. Okay, you're fine. Just I'm letting you know that you don't need to pass it around.
Okay.
Anyway, welcome everybody. Appreciate everyone being here this evening. We do a little warm-up question though before we get to the more serious ones. Make sure those microphones are working properly. You know how to hand off to each other. So, Marilyn, I'm going to put you on the spot first, okay? So if you could grab the microphone. You have 15 seconds to answer this question, okay? 15 seconds. It's like speed dating, okay? What's the strangest thing you've seen or heard of on the campaign trail so far? Times I messed up.
There really isn't.
Okay.
I don't really recall strange. It's just what everybody said it was going to be.
Okay. And I put you on the spot by making you first, but good answer. Margaret, what's the strangest thing you've seen on the campaign trail?
Well, a gentleman came to the door, followed by a huge, angry-sounding dog, and they eventually told me just by pointing to put my literature on the chair on the porch. No conversation at all. Pointing. So I thank them.
Gail, you've been out there campaigning. What's happened to you that's interesting?
I don't know if I'd call it strange, but interesting. I've been very impressed with the number of people who are determined to vote in November and have very strong feelings about this election.
Tom, I know you're out there a lot.
I've noticed that there's a lot of guys who answer the door without their shirts on. So I've met a lot of shirtless men.
That's a quote. Make sure you quote that. I think probably the most surprising thing for me is that I haven't seen my opponent at any event. So, it's a mystery.
All right. Senator?
Mine is actually from the other point of view. I had a candidate come to my door when I was actually cooking for my children, invited him in, and he had snacks with us, and it was really quite a different experience.
All right, thanks a lot. I think everything's working there. We're okay on the sound. Excellent. Can everyone hear everyone okay? Perfect. Okay. We're going to also get started here. Margaret or Marilyn, who wants to go first? Margaret, you're going to go first. Okay, whether you like it or not. This is for our House Seat 40 candidates. There's been a trend of moving local decisions and tools to the state level. Examples include aesthetic design and funding and tax options. Do you agree or disagree with this trend? And more importantly, why?
I think I'll stand up for this one if I may. I disagree with taking the authority away that we now enjoy at the local government level. You would expect me to say that, I'm sure, since you know I've come from local government. But Morrisville is one of many communities across the state that is right where the people are, and we know what your needs are even better than those at the state level. And so we need to communicate with you and serve you effectively, and we need the authority to do that.
Representative Avila?
I disagree in thinking that it's a trend. What we've seen is, like bad teenagers who get all the press, the problem are cities that have taken their authority beyond the scope and needs of their citizens and don't listen. The annexation issue is one. It's where the citizens have said, they won't listen to us, you've got to do something. So the state's their next alternative.
Okay, next up we're going to hear from the District 42 representative. You want to hear from 41, I'm sorry.
Oh, on this issue.
Yeah, well, not on this issue. I got a fresh one for you. Okay, sorry. Education funding, particularly teacher pay, was one of, if not the hottest topics at the General Assembly this year. What are your recommendations for supporting and improving K-12 education, including policies regarding teacher pay and performance?
I understand as well. Well, just like in my budget at home, the first thing I do is look to make sure I know where our money's coming from, and then are we funding our priorities. So I believe if we truly respect our teachers and want them to stay in the classroom, particularly experienced teachers who are not being compensated on an even keel, that we must put our money where our mouth is. So I believe we need to do a better job with teacher pay, particularly for those teachers who are experienced and are staying in the classroom.
Representative Murray?
The decade leading up, the first decade of 2000, from 2000 to 2010, North Carolina was 51st in the country on teacher pay raises. We can do better than that, and so we did. This year, we added $282 million new dollars for teacher compensation this year, in a single year. And we modernized and unfroze the teacher pay scale. That's a step in the right direction. We've got a long way to go. The pay plan that we passed this year in the General Assembly would move North Carolina from near the bottom to about 35th. That's a quantum leap, about 12 spots in 1 year, and we've still got work to do. But I can tell you, teacher furloughs, frozen teacher pay, those are things of the past. We are heading in a new direction, and I look forward to continuing that progress.
Thank you very much. Next, we're going to hear from Mr. Mitchell. You're going to go first. We're also going to have Senator Behringer answer the same question.
We're not competing.
I know you're not competing, just to make that clear. We know your opponent's not here. Your opponent's not here either, so, but you will get the same question. Economic development has always been important, but even more so since 2008. What do you think the state should do to attract more jobs and investment in North Carolina?
Well, as a local business owner, I'm very passionate about this topic. I think that when Republicans took over in 2010, the Carolina comeback kicked in. A lot of people don't know, we were actually ranked number 44 in the nation for most toxic tax environment. And in only 4 years, we've gone all the way through the 40s, all the way through the 30s, through the 20s, to number 17 in the nation. And I want to continue that trend. I think that the secret is continuing to lower taxes and reduce those burdensome, unnecessary regulations on small business so they can grow. That'll create more jobs.
Next, we'll hear from Senator Behringer.
To me, the most important economic engine we have in North Carolina is that world-class education system we have. Beginning with the University of North Carolina school system, our community colleges, our public school system. It is a treasure that's envied around the world. We cannot let it go. We have to invest in it, we have to nurture it, and we have to believe in it. I wouldn't be standing here today if it weren't for the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. Where in the world can a country girl that was taken home to the hospital to a home that doesn't even have indoor plumbing, less than 50 years later be the professor at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill Business Law School? And now I'm a state senator. That doesn't happen anywhere else in the United States. It happens here in North Carolina because of our education system.
Thank you very much. And remember to switch microphones here. So, you know, microphone. We're going to have Margaret go first. Marilyn. Oh, I'm sorry, Marilyn. Okay. Yeah, these are questions from the fishbowl. I've never read these before in my life, so hopefully I'll get through them on the first read. This is a long one. Wasn't there a limit to? I mean, look at this thing. Everyone, get a drink, be comfortable for a while I get through this. Currently, North Carolina has opposed the adoption of EPA's proposed regulations on carbon emissions from existing coal-fired power plants. Do you support or oppose the proposed EPA rule, and what is your position on adopting the required NC plan to meet these limits once the rule is finalized? Would you like me to go back to the strangest thing that you've seen? No, okay.
I will explain that as a legislator, none of us can stand up here and go off on every issue in depth. This is one I cannot go off on in depth. My position, however, on environmental laws is there needs to be a lot more study on some of them. We have gone overboard on some. The science does not bear going with the stringent rules that they want to put into place. So this particular one, I am not that up to date on the rules, cannot say yes or no for it, but in any instance where this is an issue, I would be, as I said before, looking at why they want it, what it will accomplish, and then trying to remove the emotion and look at what it accomplishes in making a vote.
Thank you. Ms. Broadwell, would you like me to repeat the question?
That would be great.
Okay. Okay. Currently, North Carolina has opposed the adoption of EPA's proposed regulations on carbon emissions from existing coal-fired power plants. Do you support or oppose the proposed EPA rule, and what is your position on adopting the required NC plan to meet these limits once the rules are finalized?
Well, I think Representative Avila and I have a lot in common on this one because I'm not very versed on what the particulars of that proposal would be. And I do believe in gathering all the facts from all the people who know more about the topic than I do before making a final decision. I do think absolutely there pollution in our society, whether it be in the land, the water, or the air, needs our utmost attention. We all only have one planet, and I hope to continue to live with you harmoniously for years and years to come in a very nice environment.
Thank you very much. Next, we're going to hear from Representative Murray, right? This is right up your alley in the healthcare arena. As costs for healthcare continue to rise, and the state seeks ways to reform Medicaid, what type of reform would you prefer implementing? A provider-led accountable care organization, ACO model, or an MCO model? I hope you know what I'm talking about.
I got this, Mark. stick accountant, CPA.
Yeah.
All right, ACO, Accountable Care Organization, MCO, Managed Care Organization. You're all well up to speed. Accountable Care Organization is by far the way to go. It's provider-centric. It works. We've established a very close to an ACO here in North Carolina called Community Care of North Carolina. We need to put that thing on steroids. It's what's kept North Carolina's Medicaid program from spiraling out of control. But handing our state Medicaid program over to an out-of-state managed care company is the wrong answer for our citizens. We need to listen to our providers, we need to listen to our patients, and all work together on solutions that keep our patients out of the emergency room and get them into primary care, which is the most cost-effective dollar in healthcare.
Thank you. Gail, would you like me to repeat that? Or?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Good, you got all the acronyms down. I would just say, as a nurse practitioner and provider who's worked with Medicaid patients as well as other kinds of patients, I would say that the local level control is always the best. Community Care of North Carolina is an excellent model. The rest of the country should emulate, actually. And I agree that it is the model that we should use in the state. Using an outside state provider that will only add layers of bureaucracy is not only not going to save us money, but it will not be efficient. It will not help people be healthier.
Thank you very much. We're going to switch it up a little bit, and we will have a little accounting in this question, Tom. So for all the CPAs out there. And then we'll talk with Senator Behringer first. Okay. North Carolina has allowed the single-factor sales tax for corporations, making a $1 billion investment in the Tier 1 and 2 counties. Do you think this should be allowed across all economic development tiers, and should be the level of investment, or should the level of investment be lowered?
Well, first of all, so that you understand, a Tier 1 county is our most distressed counties. They're the poorest counties that we have. And so that's why they're a priority for economic development. They're a priority for our school systems. They tend to be in rural areas, but not always. And so those particular areas do need special attention. At this point, my view is let's wait and see if this is a success in those counties before we roll it out. I'm a big believer in trying something first in a small scale and see if it works. We have 100 counties with 100 different types of folks out there. And so I think it's very important for us to see what works where and then implement rather than draw back after it's too late.
Thank you.
Yes, and I agree with everything that the senator said. I think that the jury is out until we see the results of those tests. If they work out well, then let's go for it. If not, then let's go back to the drawing board. I mean, the thing is, one size rarely fits all. It's going to take a little bit of research. It's going to take a little bit of patience, but I think it's going to pay off in the end.
We're going to have you keep standing. We're going to switch sides here a little bit, mix it up.
I'm comfortable standing.
You're up next. Okay. This is handwritten, so fix your glasses. How are you going to fight fracking to maintain our quality of water and life?
Well, this is a nuanced question because water is life, and we need to have clean water. It's extremely important. At the same time, there are many different plans as to how to approach the fracking question. Long story short, we have the energy to become energy independent. And I think if that takes fracking, if that's drilling, I mean, whatever it takes, as long as we can do it in a way that is responsible to the environment, I say we should go for it. Ultimately, we have the capability to become energy independent. And if we can pursue it in a responsible way, we should.
Family and people issue and an economic driver for good health reasons. And also the veterans issues, which are not all federal issues. They are all They are some also related at state level for veterans. Thank you.
The three issues that I will be moving forward in, first and foremost, are working with a DHHS budget in mental health issues. We've shortchanged our mental health industry quite a bit since it deinstitutionalized back in the early 2000s. The second thing is moving forward with our Raise the Age bill for 16 and 17-year-olds. North Carolina and New York are the only two states who put 16 and 17-year-olds into the adult criminal justice system. And the bill I have sponsored and we've gotten through the House, and I will sponsor again, will be to put them into juvenile justice system for misdemeanors only. And also we're taking another look at some reorganization of certificate of need for hospitals.
All right, we're going to go back to the Senate side. This is going to be, I don't know what they call it on Jeopardy, but kind of a wild card question. You get your choice. You want to talk about voting issues or DHS issues?
I'll take the DHHS.
For $100?
Alex.
Thank you.
When my students ask,
Well, I'm going to ask the question first. Okay.
She knows. She knows.
I think she wrote this. You did sign this. Yeah. Okay. Can you please ask me this question, Mark? I will be nice to Morris still in the future. What do you think about the Department of Health and Human Services handling of food stamps program and Medicare program rollouts since 2013?
deplorable, absolutely deplorable. There were people that called my office that weren't getting their food stamps. There were people who had medical equipment businesses that were putting things on their credit cards, trying to make ends meet, trying to be able to stay open because they had fronted thousands and thousands of dollars worth of equipment that they weren't being paid for. We need to do better. We have to do better. And one of the things that I've done, I worked on the Health and Human Services Appropriation Committee, and that's one of the things that we worked really hard to improve and to get in line, because we cannot treat our people that way. It's just not right.
I'll take the right to vote.
The voting
200. Yes.
Okay. All right. Do you support or oppose the elimination of one-stop early voting, voter registration, which the General Assembly passed this year?
I do not oppose it. I think that really what we've done, at least what the General Assembly has done in this last session, was really streamline the voting process. They've taken what was a very cumbersome and complicated a way for people to be voting early, and they've made it very simple. The hours have been arranged in a way that people can actually get off of work and still go be able to vote. I think that's efficient. I think more than anything, we need efficiency when it comes to the voting process. So I think that eliminating them is a good idea, and I support it.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, let's, who's ready over here? Marilyn? Okay. Let's go ahead and ask a question about, has to do with jobs and investment. While the Triangle has had great successes in growing jobs and investment, some rural areas have not. As part of the Triangle delegation, what are your thoughts on improving economic development in the rural areas without compromising your support for the metro areas?
That's a difficult question in the sense of when you talk about companies that want to move to the area and bring people with them. A lot of the people that come with a company want the benefits of a metro area. However, if a company is moving into a rural area, what we have to give them are educated workers. And that, I think, would be the best way in terms of drawing businesses to the rural areas, is to create the educated workforce. And the best way to do that is through our community colleges. And a number of our rural areas have some phenomenal colleges, and that would be a draw into the rural area for a business that would be coming to settle with the people that are already there. it's home for them.
Ms. Rodwell?
Same question?
Yep.
Good, thank you. The first thing that is necessary in rural counties, besides jobs, to get the jobs there, is the road infrastructure and the water and sewer availability. They have to have all of that coming together in a meaningful way so that the companies, small and large, will look and be able to set up in a given community and start being prosperous for the people who live there.
Next up, we're going to hear from the House 41 folks. This question, as I kind of go through this fishbowl, this one keeps on coming up over and over, and I know it was somewhat addressed earlier, but I wanted to put it back out there for the 41 folks. We've implemented a lot of changes here in North Carolina with the voting regulations and hours and days and things like that. Do you support or oppose these changes, and why?
Well, I think the most common sense thing we've done in General Assembly is to request that voters show an ID when they go to vote. I think that's one of the most common sense things we can do, and I was proud to be a primary sponsor of that bill in the House. And I'm a pharmacist. When you come to the pharmacy and you need cold medicine, you've got to show me an ID. If you want to pick up a controlled substance for a family member, you have to show me an ID. And I would argue that the right to vote is every bit as important as cold medicine. And so I think we've implemented it over a phased-in period. You're going to be asked for an ID. If you don't have one, we're going to help you get one. Try to participate in a modern society without an ID. And we're trying to help folks out and make sure that we have integrity in the voting system. I also fully support a voter ID law.
Just waiting for the...
That's okay.
I think the voter ID law is misnamed because it's not just about ID. I go to my bank, I've been banking there 20 years, I have to show my driver's license, I have no problem with that. But when you take away voting sites, when you don't allow college students to use their college ID, when you do things that actually get in the way of people participating in democracy with a small d in voting, I think that's problematic. And there was never a price tag placed on all the costs that would be associated with these changes. And whenever I like to see something like that big pass, I want to see how much it's going to cost.
We're moving back to the Senate side here.
Sure.
North Carolina's university system has had a great track record. Go UNC. Do you attribute this to, or what do you attribute this to, and how do you recommend maintaining its high level of performance?
Well, I think one of the things that's been really beneficial in the last session was the tremendous amount of focus that was brought to the education issue. And I think as we continue to move forward, as we continue to do more for teachers and pay more attention to their needs, education is going to improve everywhere, UNC systems and beyond. And so I think as long as we all work together, as long as we're thinking about the future, making sure that the kids are the focus, as long as we can strive toward that goal of the best education in the nation, we're going to get there. But we've got to come together to do it. There has to be unity.
Thank you. Please.
There are a number of reasons that the University of North Carolina system, not just Chapel Hill where I work, but the whole system is the best in the world. We've invested in it, and for many years we've invested in it. But we also have to make sure that those funds, those dollars are spent properly. We are stewards for that money, and they have to be invested properly in courses that will get people ready for real life and get ready, prepare them for leadership responsibility later on. I think one of the other things that makes it so special is that it's located all over this state. We have a University of North Carolina in the eastern part of the state, in the northern part. We have Appalachian State, which is part of the University of North Carolina, Western Carolina, which is UNC Charlotte in our urban area, Chapel Hill, and of course, NC State. Those are the factors.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to have one final question for this. This is going to go out to all four of the House candidates right now. They ask the same question, and then we're going to hear the 1 minute wrap up. Okay. This is hot off the press. I don't know. We got to teach handwriting in North Carolina. Can you all please do that? Please. Somebody. My goodness. Thank you. It's Carlotta.
Wait, actually, there's a comment from the Senate side.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
You were from where, Georgia? Is that okay? Well, you're forgiven. Okay, House folks, what do you attribute the growth of 200,000 jobs in the past few years in North Carolina to? That wasn't you. Start with Margaret.
Well, I think our good reputation, up until this point at least, has been widely promoted and through global environments as well. So people know that North Carolina has traditionally been the good education state, even though it might be slipping at this point, and has all the recreation areas, etc., which makes our communities and our state the wonderful place that it is. So I think it's not unusual to find that there are companies who want to come here and employ. We do have to remember, though, that ongoing education is what gives the staff, hireable staff, to these employers when they come here and to sustain them.
Thank you. Marilyn?
Companies can only hire somebody when they make money, and they only make money when they get to keep it. And lowering the taxes has helped in North Carolina tremendously from that standpoint. And the fact that we have the ocean, the mountains, and everything in between, the education, which in the 4 years that we've been in power hasn't really gone in a handbasket that bad, is beside the point. We have a lot to build on, and we've set a direction that is encouraging to business that they can come to North Carolina, produce goods and services at a profit, and we will make sure they can do it with safe and environmentally sound rules and regulations to help them.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Great.
Yeah, we can go next.
Well, speaking as a member of the Cary Town Council who has voted on many economic incentives, both for local companies expanding and new companies, I will tell you that to this point, it has been an educated workforce, good public schools, and high quality of life. And it is up to us, both local officials and state officials, to make sure that we do everything we can to make those three factors still the most important choices for companies who want to come to North Carolina.
The reason why North Carolina's economy is growing is because of the reform-minded legislature that you have that's leading our state. We've passed tort reform, we've passed regulatory reform, and we've passed tax reform that clearly indicates to the business community that we're open for business and we want you to come here and create jobs. That's why you're seeing 200,000 jobs created over the past 4 years, faster than any of our neighboring states. And last year we led the country in job creation. That's not by accident, it's by design. We've placed an open for business sign on the state of North Carolina, and I want to continue that work as chair of the Commerce Committee.
Thank you. Would you guys like to answer that question
Yeah, I'd love
too?
to.
I mean, while we're on this roll,
Sure.
and then we're going to get into the 1 minute wrap up. Okay, go ahead.
Why has our economy done so well in the past couple years? In a word, Republicans. Yeah, and I'll give you 3 great Republicans right here. We have Avila, we have Murray, and we have Behringer. And let's make sure that we continue to keep this comeback going.
2.5 years ago or 2 years ago when I was running, I made the comment over and over that we were overtaxed, overspent, and overregulated for way too long. And that was the truth until there was a new sheriff in town. And we've lowered taxes. We still continue to regulate, but we do so in a cost-beneficial manner. And we also, as I don't think we say it any better than what Representative Murray said, we are open for business. We're going to set this economy on fire. We're already doing it. We're all part of that. There's not much that can't be corrected when you've got a mama and a daddy that are working in the family, and everybody's fed and everybody's going to school and everybody's happy. And that's what we're working for.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to start with Representative Murray here on your 1 minute to tell us why we should vote for you.
Thanks, Mark. Over the past 4 years, serving in the North Carolina House has been one of the most rewarding experiences I've ever had. I enjoyed my time on the town council, but dealing with statewide issues is really something that I think I've been cut out for based on my training and experience as a pharmacist and an attorney. And I've been able to bring people together. I'm the only candidate in this race that's endorsed by the Sierra Club and the Chamber of Commerce. I'm the only candidate in this race that's endorsed by Realtors Association, Voices for Animal Welfare, the Police Benevolent Association. This is an interesting cross-section of individuals and groups that have decided to support my candidacy because I'm willing to bring folks together in a bipartisan way. I've gotten bills signed by Governor Perdue. I've gotten bills signed by Governor McCrory. And I'm more than willing to work with anybody who wants to move our state forward to make sure that my 3 priorities have a future. Ella, Gretchen, and Henry. That's why I'm running, and that's why I'm asking for your support.
Thank you.
When I moved to North Carolina 38 years ago, I was proud to live in an AND state. Strong public education and a thriving business environment, clean drinking water and land development, fiscal responsibility and health care for children, elders, and the disabled. But over the last 4 years, I've watched in horror as North Carolina has devolved into an OR state. Tax reform or increased teacher salaries, new industries or clean drinking water, Medicaid reform or health care for our vulnerable citizens. I don't believe we have to choose between these priorities any more in 2014 than we did in 1976. If we set reasonable goals and we fund what we say are our priorities, I believe we can be an AND state again. That's why I'm running, and that's why I'm asking for your support for the North Carolina House. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Broadwell?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm running because I was asked to by my party, and that started the wheels going. And I thought, should I do this? Can I do this? And I thought, of course, I've done it at the local level. People are people everywhere. Whether I know you or whether I don't know you, you have basically the same needs across the board. I proved it in Morrisville that I can be a good leader. I brought good programs. I brought good services. I've even put my own money into the benefit of the citizens that live here in Morrisville. I've come from finding Morrisville as less than 300 people to now over 23,000 in the same square footage, but we're all prosperous, pretty much all hopeful of a brighter tomorrow. I've done it here. I can do it in this house, and I think now is the time for me to serve there. I have accepted the challenge, and I'm asking you now for you to accept the challenge. Help me get there by your vote. Don't be a bystander, be a participant. Thank you.
Good schools, safe neighborhoods, quality jobs, accessible, affordable health care. If you're going to vote for a candidate who wants these things, then you're going to have to vote for every one of us, because we all want the same results. The decision you have to make when you go to vote is, how do you want to get there? How will you achieve it? Will it be through a methodology that allows each individual or each business the greatest degree of freedom in making choices about how they make their money and how they spend their money? That's your decision, not what you want, but how you get it. Yeah. I ask for your vote in November.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The last 2.5 years have been quite a journey for me, and it's only the beginning. I've just got my feet under me. I've worked across the aisles. I'm about good public policy. I'm not about politics. I'm about finding good solutions for the problems that we all share here together. And so I ask humbly for your vote, your support. I listen. My constituents call me. When I'm involved with a bill, I listen to all the stakeholders, and I try to factor in, because I'll just tell you, I do have some expertise in certain things, but boy, I don't know everything about everything. I count on over 700 bills were filed in the Senate, over 1,200 in the House. There's no human way possible that any one of us could even read through all that, much less actually analyze it. I count on you. I count on my citizens, my constituents, the people that I serve, to help me make those decisions. And I also ask for your help to get me reelected. I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Well, I want to say thanks again to the Chamber, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the opportunity to be here tonight. It's great to spend time with you. It's great spending time with people out in the lobby and hearing their thoughts and talking with them. The reason why I'm running is because we need new leadership in District 16, and that's the bottom line. I wouldn't take a year out of my life and all this time away from my 2-year-old daughter if I didn't really believe that it was necessary. So I will never send in a letter in my stead to a forum. I'm here. I'm here to talk to you. And I will be accessible when I'm elected. I'm also a business owner. I understand what it means to make that payroll. I understand that your money is important, and I understand that your time is important. So more than ever, I need your support now. Go to nc2014.com, nc2014.com. Hit the donate button and spread the word about Molotov Mitchell, because the liberation of District 16 is underway.
Thank you. Well, let's have a final round of applause for all the Senate and state representatives. Thank you guys so much. Joe Bryan, if you could stand up and give us your 2-minute introduction, I would appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark. Good evening. My name is Joe Bryan. I'm your Wake County Commissioner in District 1. I grew up in Wilmington, North Carolina, and started working on my uncle's shrimp boat at age 10. Would get up at midnight and work 6 days a week. At the beginning, I understood what hard work was all about. Was fortunate enough to go to the University of North Carolina on a Navy ROTC scholarship. Spent 5.5 years active duty in the Navy. Actually served on the Josephus Daniels. Fortunately, I got into being a financial advisor, and I manage about $90 million of clients' monies today to help them meet their goals. Along the way, I've had the opportunity to be in public service now for 27 years. 15 years in Knightdale, 7 years of that as mayor, and 12 years a county commissioner. During those 12 years, I've been fortunate enough to be chair 3 times, president of the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners, and I'm one of 8 members on the National Association of Counties that's on the executive committee. I think a lot of that has to do with the leadership, hard work, and that people recognize that I have the ability to work across party lines to make sure we're providing the appropriate solutions so that you have a high quality of life. That's what I pledge to you. I'll continue to work hard, and I'll make sure that Wake County continues to be places to live, work, play in America. And I can say that because my wife, Jennifer, was 18 years executive director of the Knightdale Chamber of Commerce. We've got 2 children, 4 grandchildren, and Tom talked about his 3 children. I think most of us that are a little older, I'm working for my 4 grandchildren. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, we're going to hear from Sig Hutchinson.
Great, thank you, Mayor. Good evening. I'm Sig Hutchinson, and I'm running for the Wake County Commission in District 1. If you were to ask people about Sig Hutchinson, what they would say is that Sig Hutchinson is a guy who knows how to get things done. I've led 6 bond referendums in Wake County and the city of Raleigh for $280 million for open space preservations, parks, greenways, affordable housing, and transportation. I've chaired the Open Space and Parks Advisory Committee for Wake County for 14 years, preserving 5,400 acres of open space, the size of Umstead State Park. I've been the driving force behind a greenway system, 140 miles in Raleigh, 80 miles in Cary, that will soon connect into Morrisville. I've been on the Triangle Transit Board for the last 7 years, working to get you more transportation options. I've been in Raleigh for 30 years, and that whole entire 30 years I've been a member of the Chamber. For much of that time, I was a Dale Carnegie instructor. For those of you old enough to know Mr. Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, you know Mr. Carnegie has always been about building human relations principles and communication. Friends, that's what my whole career has been about. It's never been about partisanship for me. It's always been about building coalitions, finding common ground, and ultimately getting things done. That's why I've decided to run for the Wake County Commission. I ultimately want to make this county better. Better public schools, better transportation systems, and a better quality of life for all of us. Thank you so much.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me tonight. My name is Matt Calabria. I'm a business litigation attorney at McGuire Woods, a firm in Raleigh, and my wife and I live down in Fuquay Varina, down in the southern portion of the county. I'm running for Wake County Board of Commissioners, for the Wake County Board of Commissioners, because I think that Wake County needs to get back to making the kind of important, smart investments that made our county great. I'm a product of public education from kindergarten all the way through college. And I think the only way that we are going to remain competitive is if we can ensure that we're paying our teachers in a way that reflects their value to our community. Our county commission has got to get along with our school board and can certainly do a better job of that. And we need to focus on issues that matter, like making sure that we move forward on school construction projects on time and on or under budget. Okay, so that's education. Transit. Real public transportation options in Wake County can not only decrease traffic on our roads, but they can spur on economic development, help us control growth, benefit people of all walks of life, connect us to the airport, do so many good things for this community. But for the last several years, the County Commission has sat on a 2011 transportation plan that the Morrisville Chamber wholeheartedly supported, and that would have moved us forward. As County Commissioner, I would move forward on these public transportation options, make sure that they are to the benefit of all citizens in Wake County. Third, we need economic development that creates jobs while improving our quality of life. I want to revitalize downtowns, protect our open spaces, make sure that we're doing what we can to stimulate businesses that are already here, in addition to recruiting businesses from outside. I want to make sure that our communities are talking to each other so that our research and our entrepreneur communities can work together to make sure we have some homegrown success stories of our own right here in Wake County, in addition to what we've already built. Those are the things that I stand for and that I would stand for as a Wake County Commissioner. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Phil Matthews. I'm chairman of the Wake County Commission, and I've had the pleasure of holding a record. I was vice chairman for 3 years. And fourth year, my fellow commissioner said, you're going to have to go to work. So I've been to work really hard this year, so I've learned quite a bit. But we'll talk about issues, and some of the guys have already alluded to them. But let's tell you a little bit about myself. Like Joe, I grew up down in Harney County on a farm. My dad was a sharecropper. I'm very proud of that. We worked hard and didn't make a whole lot of money. But I had an ambition. I knew if I worked hard and gave it everything I had, I could move on up in life. So I graduated high school. The Vietnam War was going on. I got drafted. How about that? Nice haircut, by the way. And after coming back from Vietnam, I settled up into the Lake Wheeler, Garner, Raleigh area. I'm a volunteer fireman. I'm a first responder. I guess I do a lot for the people. I've really worked hard, and I've enjoyed that. I know what it's like to cut kids out of a car, go in a burning house. I know that it's service. That's what it's all about. 8 years as a Garner City Councilman, and now 4 years as a Wake County Commissioner. We worked hard to get where we're at today. Wake is great. We can talk all about the change you want to, but I sure like the way we're going, because people are moving here 62 a day because there's opportunity, low taxes, great schools, great business opportunities. Ask about MetLife right down the street here. That's a lot of business coming our way. So we're on the way. If you want to keep this great progress going, there's Rich, there's Joe, there's Paul and myself, as well as our great sheriff, and there's your winning team to continue prosperity for the next 4 years. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Next we're hearing from Rich Gianni.
Hello, and thank you all for being here. My name is Rich Gianni. I'm County Commissioner, current County Commissioner, representing District 3. And I hear a lot, yes, with a name like Gianni, you're not originally from around these parts. And also, with a name like Gianni, it's tough holding the microphone because I need these to talk. But a little bit about my history. I actually grew up right outside, and you'll catch it in my dialect, I grew up outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. One of 5 children. Watched as my father had to work 2 jobs to try to make ends meet. My mother raised us, and learned a lot of lessons growing up. Had an older brother with cerebral palsy, and had to watch as my parents struggled to try to pay for surgeries. But they taught me a lot of lessons in growing up in that environment, and they showed me that you really got to work hard at what you want and what you believe in, and that if you really want something, you can attain it. And that's why I've been able to achieve success in my life. I met my wife 30 years ago and got married. We moved here actually 22 years ago. In the last 22 years, what I've done here in Wake County is lead financial roles in startup companies. And if you look at what the county commissioner does, it manages the budget of the county, that $1 billion budget. That's what I do for a living. And so when it came up for an opportunity to run, I accepted it because I felt I had the experience, that I could provide something and serve the citizens of the county. I also have a wife that has a business here. I have a son in public school here. I have another son that's moving back here to start a business. And I thought, what better way to make sure that Wake continues on the great path that it's going on, with me being able to represent the citizens of Wake County. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Holmes?
I'm Jessica Holmes, and I hope to soon represent Cary, Apex, Morrisville on the Wake County Board of Commissioners. As a first-generation college student, and now an education law attorney, I understand the value of a quality education. Now, emotions and partisanship to the side. In our neck of the woods over here, we're building homes faster than we're building schools. That has got to stop. Every single day, it feels like my commute to downtown Raleigh gets a little bit longer. These issues, overcrowding and traffic congestion, are the results of nearsighted leadership. We can maintain our quality of life and yet still keep our AAA rate bond. That is not exclusive. I do not want to raise your taxes. I do not want to raise my taxes. At one point, as a child, I was homeless in the Wake County public school system, in the North Carolina public school system. And so I want to work to keep your property taxes low, because I want to make sure that everyone has the possibility of owning a home. I went from being homeless in the public school system to now owning a home in Cary. I want all of us to have that same opportunity. Now, you're going to hear a lot about tax and spend, but I tell you this, value is a part of every buying decision. When you open up your tax bill, I want you to see the biggest bang for your buck, and that's why you should vote Jessica Holmes for Wake County Commissioner.
Good evening. My name is John Burns, and I'm running to represent District 7 on the Wake County Commission. But all of us up here would like you all to know that we're all running countywide. So you can vote in all 4 races, and so we all ask you to do that. I ask you to vote for me, and the reason I do so is because I represent a new vision for Wake County. I grew up the son of public school teachers. I grew up in High Point, North Carolina. I know how hard teachers work. I know how hard it is at the end of a month for my mom, when I was growing up, to look in an empty refrigerator with about 3 or 4 days before payday and wonder how she's going to feed me and still get all of her work done at work, all of her work done at home for grading papers and doing lesson plans. Teachers work very hard, and the reason I'm running is because my 3 children are Wake County public school students. My son Duncan, my daughter Ella, where's Tom Murray? I have a daughter Ella too, and my son Lincoln are all in public schools, and they have lost teachers. My son lost his favorite social studies teacher because they've had it. The teachers are leaving the profession. This county had a 41% increase in the number of teachers leaving the profession last year alone. That is unacceptable, and that's why I'm running. I'm also running for transit because the transit plan has sat at the county commissioners since 2011 with no action. In the last couple of weeks, we've had a little action. But I heard a speaker the other night say that North Carolina's motto, as we all know, is to be rather than to seem. And on the issues of education and transit, we're seeing a lot of seeming in the last couple months. We need to see the being. We need to see transit action. We need to see education action. I'm an attorney in Raleigh. My wife Janice and I moved here in 2001 when we found out we were going to have our first child. We attend First Presbyterian Church in downtown Raleigh, where I'm an elder and my wife is a middle school youth advisor. We want Wake County to offer the same opportunities to our children and grandchildren as it is given to us. And that's why I'm running for your county commission. I need your vote. Thank you.
I'm Paul Coble, and my 2 grandfathers moved to Raleigh to seek their fortune. And both small businessmen, and both worked hard. I'm fortunate that now, as a couple of us up here have alluded to, I now have grandchildren. My granddaughter now represents the 4th generation of my family who will attend school in Wake County. Schools are important. My mother was a school teacher here. My daughter is a school teacher here. I understand the importance of education. Matter of fact, back in the early 90s, the Chamber of Commerce did a study. And it said the things that will help an area grow really boil down into low taxes, good schools, and that's not just K through 12, but also includes the universities, colleges, and in particular Wake Tech. That's kind of our number one asset for recruitment right now. And public safety. Make sure that when the house is on fire, somebody shows up to put out the fire. If there's somebody breaking in your house, the police or the sheriff's department shows up and does what they need to do. I have watched over the years towns and cities who have begun to shrink because people are moving out. It's become too expensive to live there. They can't afford to stay. I don't want that to happen in Raleigh and Wake County. I don't want it to happen here in Morrisville, where your children don't come back here because there are no opportunities. We need to give the next generation the same kind of opportunities that we've had. That's important. And to do that, we have to prioritize our spending. We have to put things forward that we know are important and not waste money on those things. Too often I've seen towns and cities put forward projects that really weren't important, and then when it really came to the money that had to be spent on public safety and infrastructure, their only answer then is to raise taxes because they're running out of money. You've got to prioritize, you've got to spend it right. That's what I've done as a city council member, mayor, and as a county commissioner, twice as chairman. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You can not only hold on to that, but I want you to stand back up.
You're going to give me another minute?
No. This time you get 15 seconds. This is a speed round, as we had before, but tell us, and your answer has to include the word Morrisville, and you cannot mention traffic. What do you like best about Morrisville in 15 seconds?
The mayor.
I'm sorry, John, he has another minute. John, what do you like best about Morrisville?
I'm not used to being speechless following Mr. Colby. What I really like about Morrisville is how quickly you've grown and how your diversity of your population has grown with it. I think that there are people from all over the planet in Morrisville, and your city is greatly strengthened as a result of that.
Thank you. Jessica, by the way, Commissioner Coble, we're deducting 10 points. You did not mention Morrisville in your answer. Go ahead, Jessica.
As Morrisville is included in my district, which is Cary, Apex, Morrisville, I'm incredibly excited about the new competition center that will be coming soon to Morrisville.
Thank you. Rich?
She took my answer.
You can say it again.
Yeah. Really, it's everywhere you go, including Morrisville. It's the people. And the people of Morrisville, I've been able to go to a few events, and they've been welcoming, and it's all about the people. And not only the mayor, but the town council.
All right. You can keep that. Chairman Matthews, what do you like about Morrisville?
Morrisville, I remember we had one stoplight and a helicopter factory and a service station down there. But now you're growing, and we're going to have this new facility where competition is going to come in for ice skating, hockey, fill up these hotel rooms, make your tax rate look wonderful without raising taxes.
We try. Thank you. Matt?
I think Morrisville is a great example of the economic vitality that we can offer here as a region. We do a really good job with promoting good paying, sustainable jobs in RTP and elsewhere, and I think it's a really good example for the region, for the state.
Zig?
Thanks, Mayor. I would frame that one word, Mayor, as opportunity. Morrisville has got great opportunity. You've got incredibly talented professionals living right here. Look at where you're located. Umstead State Park, the airport, right in the center of the region. If you can get a handle on your transportation issues.
Have a seat. Have a seat. Next. Joe, please.
What I like about Morrisville, when I did some research to come to this forum tonight, is I found out that you're young. The average age is 32 and a half. I found out that you're affluent. Average household income about $88,000. That's the highest in all of Wake County. So Morrisville is really an area that, in my case, coming from the eastern side of the county, is we're not as affluent over there. We all want to be next to the RTP. We all want to have these opportunities. And it's seen even this weekend to see that there's this great melting pot. That's great to see it so diverse. Thank you.
Thank you. And that segment was brought to you by the Morrisville Chamber of Commerce. Thank you. All right, we're all loosened up now, ready to answer some tougher questions. Joe, we're actually going to start with you. With no? You guys are going to get the first question. Okay. You have 45 seconds. Ladies, you ready? Okay.
Yeah.
And then you switch between questions here. Economic development has always been important, but it's been really a greater focus the last couple of years. What do you think is the best strategy to add jobs and, more importantly, increase capital investment in Wake County?
Well, I'd say, first of all, again, our unemployment rate is lower than the state, lower than the nation. You've heard about MetLife, 1,200 jobs, average salary of about $115,000 a year. We have a very aggressive incentive policy that brings companies here. But the key thing is, again, is the quality of life. And that is what is going to keep us strong. And of course, in Morrisville's case, you're fortunate to have the Wake Tech campus and RTP. In y'all's case, you're also going to have a new library come 2019. I know that's a little ways out. But again, your quality of life, and again, to win this competition, and rightfully so, you deserve to get that money, the funding from the Hotel Motel Prepared Foods tax.
Thank you. I think we'll hear from you next.
All right, thanks, Mayor. So I have a different view on economic development. As a business person for 30 years, the incentive program that they talk about is basically creating a pile of money, sending it outside of state, and bribing these CEOs to bring their people here to compete with you. I think you're important. I think we need to do things to help you be more successful, to remove barriers and work with innovators and entrepreneurs to start new businesses and grow their existing businesses so that we collectively, us, can grow our economic development.
Thank you. Okay. Matt, you're going to get another question. It's a different question.
Okay.
Okay. And I should have read ahead a little bit. I should have hit SIG with this one. But Morrisville, along with many other parts of the triangle, suffer from traffic congestion. Where's Captain Obvious? What are your thoughts on addressing this critical part of our infrastructure?
Sure. And I'd like to show you something. So we need a plan that meets our needs. We need to focus on saving money, and we need to understand our growth potential. And when we do those things and we come up with a transit plan, we need to then consider a referendum on transit. I didn't say that. Commissioner Gianni said that, but I agree with that. And what you need to know is that when us Democrats say it, we get called all sorts of, bomb-throwing Bolsheviks and liberals and all that kind of stuff. But we agree, at least on the superficial level, on the solutions, but we need to earnestly move forward with what will most likely be a multimodal transportation plan. Buses, perhaps forms of rail, but we should study it, and we shouldn't sit on our laurels like we have since 2011. We need to move forward with the transportation plan and be fiscally responsible as we do so.
Thank you. Chairman Matthews?
Transit is very important. As Wake County Commissioners, every year we set out, we come up with our 10 priorities, and a lot has to do with the spending, what taxes are available, what is a priority. Is it education? Is it transit? Is it emergency services? And we do those things. This year, we have hired 2 consultants. They're giving us a monthly report on what their findings are, and come March, they're going to give us a recommendation. We don't just jump out, grab anything and run with it. We look through it, we read it, and does it make sense for you and us and everybody that's paying the bill on this thing? So we've taken our time with it. Yes, we have. We're going to get it right, and we want to get it right the first time.
Okay, thank you. Rich, we're going to hear from you next. New question. There's been a lot of emotions and partisanship over education issues this year. As a parent, I understand the emotional aspect of the debate, but I'm also a businessman with a payroll to meet. With emotions aside, tell us your plan, your view on Wake County's role in education.
Sure. I think the first thing we need to do is change the question from how much money do we put into education to what's the education that our children are getting out of the system. And very, very quickly, since I got 45 seconds, I believe and I support incentives for teachers, for performance. We have the technology that can actually monitor the performance of every child in Wake County. So I think we can have a system where we can monitor the performance of these children and provide incentives to teachers for meeting goals. I believe in giving teachers the opportunity to use the methods and the tools that they believe belongs in the classroom and that they believe works, and not necessarily what some administrator thinks is appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica?
Our very first step is to make sure that we keep our local supplement competitive so that we can recruit and retain the best educators in this state. Number two, which hits home to this particular district, we have to build schools with growth in mind. Right now we're building schools at current capacity. So that means we build a school this year and next year it is at or it has exceeded capacity. This is an example of a lack of vision. Wake County is the 9th fastest growing county in the country. We can no longer build schools at capacity, just like we could no longer not address our transit needs.
Thank you. John Burns, you're up next. We're going to get back into traffic and transportation a little bit. Tell us your views on the best way to handle what's in front of us in Wake County as far as transportation and transit.
Well, the first thing we need to do is take the plan that we have. I'm very glad that the new county manager is leading a process to evaluate the 2011 plan and advance it. That plan should have been advanced in 2011. Where we need to go going forward, as Matt alluded to, is a multimodal transportation system that serves the entire county and serves two groups of people. We must make sure that we take care of those people who are dependent on transit now. Many of those people do not live in Morrisville. So what we need to do is look at the second group of people, which is to incentivize and make it an appealing enough, frequent enough, and reliable enough system that people choose to ride transit. And a commuter rail line through Morrisville to RTP, Durham, and beyond is the first step to making Morrisville's transit system much better than it is today. That is a fast 45 seconds.
Thank you.
But one of the problems is you don't create a transit plan that won't work. And the plan that was put forward wouldn't work. We asked 25 questions of the TTA and other people who helped create that plan, and they couldn't answer the questions. They couldn't answer them to our satisfaction. We turned them over to national experts. National experts said it wouldn't work. So what did we do? We went out, we brought in a panel of 3 more national experts, asked them to look at it and help us look at what opportunities we have. We've started the process. We're moving forward, as Phil and Joe have alluded to, and we're going to come up with a plan that works. We're going to come up with a plan that actually makes sense and is affordable and serves everybody in the county.
Okay, thank you. We're going to keep it on this side here, and Jessica, you're up next. Wake County is one of only a handful of counties in the country with the AAA bond rating. Please tell us what challenges threaten this rating and what actions you would take to maintain our current high rating.
Fiscal irresponsibility will hurt our AAA bond rating. The first thing we need to do is make sure all of the current county services are being run efficiently and effectively to make sure when you need the fire department to come to your door that they're there. The thing that threatens our AAA bond rating is mismanagement of those funds. I do believe that Wake County is great because of some of the leadership that we've had, even sitting on this panel. But that leadership has had a very short-sighted vision, which is why we end up with overcrowded schools, and which is why we ended up with congested traffic. We have to have thoughtful leadership so that when we're building schools, we're not actually wasting tax dollars because we're not building them large enough and we're not taking in growth projections.
Rich. Question again was, Wake County is only one of a handful of counties in the country with a AAA bond rating. Please tell us what challenges threaten this rating and what actions you would take to maintain this high rating.
It's the same for Wake County as it would be for any business, and that's to be efficient with your resources and your spending. One of the things that the bond raters came in and commented on was that under the current leadership, they were really impressed on how well we managed the funds. And one way to ruin that AAA rating is to get debt too high and to spend on things that aren't necessarily what you need right now. That's why when I talked about the issue, I said we need to do it responsibly, and we need to make sure we have a plan that works. But the best way to retain a AAA rating is to keep up with the current management we have in Wake County. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Back here, who's up next? Matt or Phil?
I think I went first.
Okay, so Chairman Matthews, we're going to have you speak next. This is about parks, okay? Active and passive parks make them an important part of the quality of life here in Wake County. How do you think Wake County is doing providing these type of services? And please explain your answer and talk about how we could do even better.
We have been doing a quite an effective job on buying the land to protect water quality. Matter of fact, when the AAA bond rating people came in, we give them a tour. And we took them to one of our new acquisitions of land over there. There's a mill pond, and showed them exactly what we were doing. That we are very proactive in buying lands to protect our future, especially our water quality. And we've been very active in it. And I think we've done an excellent job of it, and we do have a plan to keep moving forward with that. So we're very conscious of our land. They're not making any more. We've got to be very good stewards of what we've got. And this team you've got up there now will do an outstanding job of that. There's another way the AAA bond people really like what we did because we spend money correctly.
Okay, thank you. Ed, you're up next.
I think by and large, when it comes to parks, our county's in pretty good shape. And I want to specifically thank Sig Hutchinson, who has done a ton of work for our parks. Tons. I can't say it like he can, but several bond referendums over the years protecting open space. Sig Hutchinson has been at the forefront of that, and we have him, among others, to thank for that. But we can do better. There's bipartisan support. If the surveys that we've all been filling out lately are any indication for an additional parks bond down the road, certainly that's something that we'll have to consider among competing demands for the county's finances and its priorities. But I think that we can continue on a good path that we've established to continue to prioritize and preserve open space in Wake County.
Thank you. Okay, so you're up next. Wake County has numerous towns in the city of Raleigh. Do you think there should be more or less partnerships between the county and local municipalities to best serve the constituents of Wake County? Please explain your answer.
Well, obviously, there should be more. We have got great municipalities, and we've got great city councils and town councils. And the existing leadership on the county commission is not doing enough to work with our county, with our municipalities. For example, parks and greenways. They could do much more to leverage open space, to leverage greenways. Most recently, this county commission decided they were no longer going to partner with municipalities to fund greenways in municipalities, even though 80% of their money and 80% of the population comes from municipalities. Clearly, we can do better to partner with you, Mayor, and with your town council, and as a county commissioner. That's exactly what I'll do.
Thank you. How are you going to pay for it?
Well, you're going to hear three goals. And the first one is academic excellence for our children. The second is we're going to complete our strategic plan. And the third one is much about, we heard from the legislatures, they're going through tax reform. I want to make sure that the county commissioners are at the table when the legislature goes through tax reform, because if we're not at the table, we'll become the menu. So that's the three things. Now, how we're going to pay for this, we're going to continue to prioritize. We're going to continue to be AAA rated. We're one of 39 counties out of 3,069 counties in America that are that financially strong. So we're going to continue that strength. We're going to grow this economy. We're going to use that growth. We're going to prioritize. If the school system does in fact have $1 million in fund balance, that's part of that's going to be spent first. If it takes additional revenues beyond that, we'll agree to it together.
Area. We were just talking to folks at Wake County Economic Development the other day, which is our economic development arm in the county, and they said that 85% of the businesses who are looking to come here say that access to talent is their number one priority, and that means education.
Thank you. Chairman, before you, I do want to give bonus points to whoever can finish this in 45 seconds. Okay, so you got it. You're on the clock. Number one goal, and how are you going to pay for it?
Economic development drives jobs. We need jobs. Marshville is a perfect example of that. When jobs come in, People buy houses, they open businesses, their sales tax rate come in, helps municipalities grow, and all the needs that we need. I'm working hard on that right now. We just had a presentation presented to us. We've got one level at 100 million. We're looking now at another level with 75 million investment and another one for 50. 100 million is nice in Morrisville, but 50 is really sweet in Zebulon. I represent this whole county as we all do. And it's about Wake County. We're great, and economic development and jobs is what's going to make it happen. And I'm not slowing down, I'm not quitting, and I'm not ashamed of anything we've done this before. We're just getting started. Give us 4 more times.
Thank you. Rich, we're going to mix it up and ask you the same question. Okay? Number one accomplishment, and how are you going to pay for it?
Sure. First, let's get some facts. The attrition rate for teachers this past year was 12%. The attrition rate for teachers for the last decade has been between 11 and 12%. The attrition rate in North Carolina is 14% for teachers. The attrition rate in the United States is 16%. So yes, we don't want to lose teachers, but when we present it as the sky is falling, then we're not getting all the facts. What I want to do with my business experience is see that I can get in and use some of the things that I've learned in my business experience to see how we're spending our money and see if there's ways that we can be more effective in spending our money. And that way we can pay, that's how I plan to help pay for some of the things that we want to do. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the number one goal, and how are you going to pay for it?
My number one goal is to make sure that our students and our educators have what they need in order to be successful in our classrooms. Now, we can throw out facts and statistics and numbers all day, but I work with educators, and when you're sitting at a county commissioners meeting and you see a teacher at the podium and they're crying, talking about how they're considering moving to Houston, Texas because they're not happy teaching in Wake County, that is not okay. Our county commissioners can and should do better. And as they're crying at the podium, you have commissioners standing at the table playing with their tablets. You won't see that coming from me.
I hope you guys were paying attention. I don't know who was next.
It's Paul and then this one, I think.
Go ahead, Paul.
We're going to get the same question again, just to mix it up?
Yes, sir. Number one goal, and how are you going to pay for it?
Economic development, I agree with Phil. If you don't have the money, you don't have the money to do anything else. Let me talk about one thing real quick with our opponents. The question is, it's great. How are you going to pay for it? You keep hearing about teachers pay, teachers pay, teachers pay. You know what? They're firemen. They're county deputies, they're detention officers. There are a lot of people who work for the county who are going to need pay raises. We've got to make sure we prioritize and we have money to deal with everything. We cannot focus entirely on one subject and spend all our money there. What are you going to do with these other people when they need help and they need support? What are you going to do when you need a fire truck to show up at your house and it won't work because they haven't kept it up with the maintenance? So it's the real question is, how are you going to pay for it?
I'm going to answer my number one priority by pointing out that what you've just heard is an example of the division that we've had in Wake County for the last 8 years. To answer that question, my opponent set one group of county employees off against another one and said we have to choose between them. I will not do that. I am going to change the way we do business here, and the first thing I'm going to do is listen, which is a new tactic, perhaps, on this county commission. I'm going to listen, we're going to work together, we're going to work collaboratively. I'm an attorney, I represent business every day, and I am paid to sit in a room across the table from someone who disagrees with me fundamentally about the very reason we're in that room, and we reach a reasonable and just solution. Okay? That's a tactic and a skill that is not on this county commission up here today. So that's my number one goal, is to change the way the county commission does business. Thank you.
Okay, that went well. All right, this is a wild card question. The first person to raise their hand that's brave enough to take this. This is from our chamber. You and your opponent have to actually come together and agree to take this question. So, who wants to take it? I'm not going to tell you. I'm not telling you. I'm not telling you. Who's brave? Come on.
We'll do it.
You guys will do it? Okay. Thank you very much for volunteering. Again, this is from the chamber. One of the great additions to community pride and quality of life are festivals, particularly Morrisville festivals, showing off all of our fabulous local cuisine. Currently, the county requirements to meet health department rules are a detriment to restaurant participation. What are your thoughts on this very critical concern that the chamber has?
This is the very reason I'm running for county commissioner. It's a very fair question, and I did take the liberty of asking for a little bit more explanation of it, and I think that it's an example of the way regulation can sometimes overwhelm the purpose of the regulation. The first thing that the health regulation needs to take care of is health and science, and if the health and science is met, then the purpose of the folks doing the regulating should not be to restrict and stop. It should be to assist the people who are trying to participate in these festivals in reaching the right health conditions and the right temperature of their food so that they can serve the public safe food. It shouldn't be to tell people, you can't serve your food here and we're going to make you jump through 90 dozen hoops to get there. So I would encourage working with business and trying to figure out a way to get to the goal of the regulation, which is good health.
Okay, thank you.
It is the county's job to take care of food safety, but we have to apply the laws that the state of North Carolina gives us. We don't make up the rules. We have to apply the laws that they give us. The biggest festival in the state will be showing up over at the fairgrounds in 2 weeks. The county manages to get everybody regulated, set up, licensed, and ready to go. They're all temporary food people. We have a good system. Now, I do agree that if there is a regulation, a problem that's coming forward, we ought to know about it. But it is paramount that we make sure that the food that's served is safe and that our people are protected. And so that's really important. We want to work with areas. If there's some problem, Mayor, we want to know about it. But I tell you what, as I said, the biggest festival in the state's coming here in 2 weeks.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys' willingness to step up to that tough question. Okay, you can hold on to it. Okay, that's it for the questions. We're going to wrap things up now with 1 minute. You get about 60 seconds to tell us why we should vote for you. There's choices this year. They're all up here in one room. I want to, before we break, I do want to applaud everyone up here for coming out tonight. I know it has not been easy, particularly this campaign, to get everyone together. There's a lot of scheduling conflicts, but you guys really show what it means to be leaders. So we appreciate you guys coming together and handling all these extremely tough questions. So thank you for all that you do for us. We're going to hear from Commissioner Joe Bryan first.
My name's Joe Bryan. Hopefully you've liked what I've had to say today, and I want you to remember my name is Joe Bryan. One time I gave this great speech, and I sat down, and Senator Stevens says, well, it was a great speech. So you talked about the 64 bypass, but forgot to tell him your name. So please remember Joe Bryan. Again, I hope you see and you like what's going on in Wake County. We're AAA rated. We actually have the highest teacher supplement of all 100 counties in North Carolina at $6,500. This AAA rating is very serious in that financial integrity allows us to save probably $20 million to put into additional service. We set goals. We worked with the business community and got together community leaders to make sure that we're setting the goals to make sure we're planning long term. We've done that. This is a great place in spite of everything you might have heard today. We have over 100 accolades, and I hope that you'll give me the opportunity to continue to serve you. As the sheriff says, I love my job. Thank you for allowing me to serve you. I'm Joe Bryan, running for Wake County Commissioner for my 4th term. Thank you.
I'm Sig Hutchinson, running for Wake County Commission, and what I have to say is never has the decision been more clear on your part, the opportunity been more stark. Is it more the same, or is it time for change? Is it time to move from consternation to collaboration with our school board? Is it time to give you a voice and a choice on your transportation future, as Orange has Durham and Durham has done? Or as Mr. Green Jeans would say, is it time to start funding your greenways and municipalities and start working with your municipalities to get things done? Friends, there is a choice. It's more the same. You can elect Sig Hutchinson, Matt Calabria, Jessica Holmes, and John Burns, your next Wake County Commissioners. Thanks so much. Good to be here.
Again, my name is Matt Calabria. Thank you so much for having me. These elections, as I'm sure you can see, are so important. They are critical for our education system. They are critical if you care about traffic. They are critical if you care about clean water or good jobs. These local elections matter a great deal, and so I'm so glad that you are here. We do live in a great place, and we have lots of folks to thank. Folks who invested when they created RTP, when they built the convention center, our great municipalities and our private sector. But our county leadership needs a change if we are going to move forward. We are already seeing our county fray at the edges. There are students in Wake County right now, particularly in Western Wake County, including in Morrisville, who can't go to their neighborhood schools, not because of any diversity policy, but because our school construction has not kept up with the growth that we need. We have to make smart, forward-thinking choices to ensure that we will continue to have a good future. That's what I want to do as a county commissioner. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Okay, a point of clarification. Those tablets were mentioned earlier. I had those brought on 3 years ago instead of bringing notebooks out to all of us to update and update. We're up there going through our agenda, seeing what's next and how we're going to do these things. That's what those tablets are for. I just want to clarify that. Wake is great. It is great. People are coming here, 62 people a day. You're 1 in a million. You're 1 in a million. We're doing good things. Why are they coming? Low taxes. They like our government. AAA bond rating. We're on the way up. All I've heard tonight has been change and change. Last time I heard that change, we got a mess in Washington. And I don't want to see it come down here to Wake County. Wake County is great. I'm proud to be chairman of this commission. 4 more years, we're going to take it to another level. We're going to be involved with our municipalities like we're already doing. We're going to grow great. We're going to grow great together, Mr. Mayor. And that you can take to the bank. Thank you.
I'll hold you to it. Rich, you're up next.
My name is Rich Gianni, running out of District 3 for Wake County Commissioner. And all of us up here care about Wake County. And we all have our own histories and our backgrounds as to why we want to run. But we all care, but we just got a different way of going about it. Why I would like you to elect me is because I have the experience required to do a county commissioner job, which is to manage that $1 billion budget. And in running businesses for over 22 years, I've had to manage very tight budgets. I've had to create situations where to try to maintain employees. I've had to work across the aisle, and you hear a lot from the other side talking about wanting to work together. However, my opponent and some others up here, as part of the Moral Monday movement, talk about eviscerating and crippling their opponents. So what I don't understand is how you can stand up here and talk about working together when you use language like that. I have experience doing that. That's how I've gotten business done. Thank you.
Jessica, the floor is yours.
I'm not sure what my opponent was referring to just now, but I will say that I would like to thank him for his service, because I can say that up until this moment, we have been very cordial every time we've seen each other. So I checked, and I'll double check again, but no one up here is wearing high heels. Not even me today. So I think I can say with accuracy that I am the shortest in stature standing before you today. But what I can tell you is this: I have the heart of a lion, and I have the fire in my belly to make Wake County a better place for all of us. Now let me tell you something about where I learned fiscal responsibility. I'm an attorney, so I did not gain fiscal responsibility by getting an MBA. I learned it by working 3 jobs in college to get myself through UNC Chapel Hill, by working 2 jobs to get myself through Carolina Law. I know what it takes. I understand the value of a dollar, and I will take that approach into being a Wake County Commissioner.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. I appreciate all of you being here tonight. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce and to NPAC and to the others who have sponsored us tonight. It's been, I think, a very valuable effort, and I'm happy to do this. I ask for your vote for County Commission because I do want to change the way that Wake County does business. I love Wake County. I moved here to raise my children. I want them to stay here. I want them to have the opportunity that long-range planning has given me, but I feel that the long-range planning is lacking today. I as the City of Raleigh's, chairman of the City of Raleigh's Environmental Advisory Board, I worked with Democrats, Republicans, and unaffiliated alike to work on a plan to make Raleigh the most sustainable mid-sized city in America. In 6 years, we accomplished that goal. And by 2012, the City of Raleigh was the most sustainable mid-sized city. And a way to be responsible with tax dollars is to make sure that we're spending less on energy and we're spending less of your tax dollars. I'd love to talk about that at more length, but I'm running out of time. So I ask for your vote. I need your vote. And if you have any questions, please see me in the hallway. I'm happy to talk to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Paul, the floor is yours.
Well, I'm disappointed we didn't get the question about the incentives program, because the question was, how would you change the incentives program? And standing in Mooresville, I would say the people of Mooresville probably don't want to change the incentive program because you just got the money for the hockey center and everything else that you got. So, look, the difference between the two groups tonight is experience. It's service. And it's not serving on committees and promoting things. It's being at the table, making hard decisions, taking tough votes, and being accountable for those votes that you have to take. That's what Joe, Phil, Rich, and I have done. We've got great experience. We know where we're headed. This isn't just about schools. It's about fire departments. It's about the sheriff's department. It's about health and human services. It's about mental health. It's about so many different things in a county that's as large as Wake County that you have to realize that you have to prioritize your spending, and you have to understand there's a lot of things we have to work on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Morrisville.
Okay, once again, I wanted to thank all 8 candidates for being here tonight. We've talked about this event for many, many weeks, and every time I mentioned it, they're saying, no way, they're not all going to show up. But you guys did show up. You did a fantastic job. I appreciate the county, the town council, the citizens, appreciate what you guys do, whether you're serving now or will be serving in the future. We cannot thank you enough for what you do. A $1 billion budget is not an easy thing to manage anymore. So we appreciate everything you guys do for us. I think they're going to be around for a couple minutes after this forum, so if you want to meet and greet a little bit more outside, please do. Otherwise, have a great evening, and thanks again for coming to Morrisville.